Okay. All right, so let's get the share going. Okay. So InDesign, let me just show you an example. This is an example I got actually today. It's a digital magazine. I believe they also print it, but the cool thing about InDesign is it allows you to literally go directly from your file, your InDesign document into something like this, which is published, and you can actually see the email, the address they're publishing through is INDD. That's InDesign Adobe. So they're actually sharing this link through Adobe. This was in their in email. Okay, so you're able to send it around. So basically, we have a cover, and in this particular case, they're doing all the text here in InDesign. Sometimes you'll find what we call a masthead, the cover of a magazine that's unique, and they'll do that separately in usually Photoshop or Illustrator, and then they'll bring that in and they'll do the what's going to be in the magazine, the publication, that type of thing here. And then we've got, in this case, a table of contents. And the cool thing about this is not only do we have like the names and stuff, we can put this in, and then as we work, we'll end up becoming a template. So we'll keep this, they'll keep this in every issue, and they just kind of reformat. So they just kind of build upon it each time. But the cool thing is you can do hyperlinks within documents. Okay, so InDesign is advanced to a point where if you click, it will take you to that page. So that's kind of cool, right? You can have hyperlinks within your documents. And again, they can have this preset, and then each month, in this case, they're gonna, or each edition, they're just gonna put in the wording that they wanna do. And then, but the other stuff stays the same. Okay, so they've got set typefaces that you can start to use. They're consistent throughout, and we'll show you how to do that, how to set those things up with that. And then they can just kind of lay out the text and put the images in. And again, the pictures would be processed in something like Photoshop, lightness, darkness, cropping. And you can do some basic cropping here too. And then they're going to put in captions, okay? And then they're going to hand the headlines. So this is a headline here. And then we've got a byline, who wrote it, and then the article itself, and these are kind of subheads, okay, where they're calling you to specific parts of the story. So we'll go back over these, but I just want to kind of show you examples of these things that are being done. This is a photo with a border put around it. So basically indents the text. You can see it's not going straight through, it's going around it. And then we have a caption down here. And this is a 2-column spread, okay? So we've got the header up the top here where it says 6 Western National Park, fall 2021. And then down here, let's see at the bottom, they don't have anything at the bottom, but they can put items in at the bottom if they need to. That's called the footer. Okay. And if you see something underlined, again, that's designed to be a hyperlink. Okay. They don't have to underline, but you can. Okay. Sometimes visually it just kind of shows you where it is. And again, all of these items are simply cut out in Photoshop. And I'm not sure if this was brought in as one big image or multiple images. It looks like it was probably one large image that they placed these items in. And then they have hyperlinks here. Just more articles. And then back here, they have hyperlinks to, in this case, the parks they work with. So it will take you to their website. So it's a pretty dynamic program that will let you go through a document pretty quick, will allow you to design, be effective with it, especially something like this case. It's a reoccurring document. They do whatever, one a quarter. Or if it was a magazine, they're putting it out once a month or once every 2 months. It's a very, very cool program for that, right? And it allows you to handle lots of articles, lots of words quickly. Okay, and this article goes on for 4 pages. Yeah, 4 pages. Okay, so it's able to link from one page to another. Okay, and it's a very graphical program, meaning as a designer, it lets you work in the way that we kind of work. It's a very fundamental way of kind of looking at things and working. So, any questions on any of that real quick before we get into the actual program? Does that kind of make sense of what it can do?
Yeah, seems to make sense.
Okay. All right, so InDesign is a little ID down here, and we've got this, and I'm going to just kind of open up make a new file. So you're going to get this kind of setup. Should be fairly common to what we've been working with, similar kind of look and feel. They have presets here for print and web. You could do some web formatting or even mobile. Okay. The cool thing is too, they also have down here with the Adobe, we have some baseline templates. Okay, so you can kind of go through and they'll have those. So whether it be a resume or a proposal, or a gift card, brochures, business cards, magazines, they're giving you some stuff to kind of start with. And again, those are good, right? I mean, it's a good thing to have some kind of starting point sometimes, especially when you're, just kind of getting used to it. And I can tell you, I do these too. I mean, I'm like, okay, let me just kind of get this going. Things are kind of set, and then I'm going to come in and completely modify. But there's some stuff there. So if you got tasked to do a newsletter, here's a look. It may not be completely what you want, but there's a starting point to kind of get it organized. Okay, so quite a few of these, and most of these are looking like they're free. If they have anything here, should I cost it all? No, all this stuff is free. Okay, so business cards, brochures, layouts, some flyers, resumes. Okay, everybody will be using that. Menus, quite a few things, and that's kind of cool. They have some preset layouts. So I'm not going to deal with those today, but know that they're there for that. Or if you want to kind of do some web items, or even some social media, there's some stuff there that kind of gets you going and gets you set up. Battery dying? Okay, not yet. Still got some time left. 7%, gonna get low. Hopefully we'll make it. All right, if it dies, I'll do a quick battery run. All right, so we're going to start with a 8.5 by 11 document. Okay, you can tell it how many pages if you know. Many times you know ahead of time what you got. I'm going to just kind of set this up, and I'm just going to tell it to be just to do 5 pages right now. You can have it come in with text boxes. I'm going to leave those off so I can show you what they are. A gutter is the space between columns, and I'm going to do we'll do 2 columns, keep it simple. So the gutter is the kind of the space between them. The margins, right, left, bottom, top. In this case, a 1/2 inch margin is good. Don't worry about the bleed or slug. That's kind of when you get more into printing things. And we're going to create. And if you're not sure, you can hit preview down here, and it will generate a preview in a second. Back here, so you can see it's a 2 column. What if I want the 4 column? You can see that back there. So you get an idea of how I want this. 3 column. What do you want to do? All right, and we'll keep it 3. That's fine. A little bit of off center is good. I'm gonna hit create, and what it just did was it made a document that we're going to start from. Now let me just kind of go through some of the interface here just to help you guys out. I think over here, we pretty much know most of these tools, right? There's a select, direct select, it's a page tool. That's no big deal. This is a gap. We'll get into that. Content type tool. All right. So there's type and type on a path. A line tool, a pen tool. There is a rectangle tool. So again, we can do basic stuff in here, but it's not meant to be a drawing tool. Does that make sense? So you're much better off to draw in Illustrator or do some stuff in Photoshop than here. More or less, these boxes are designed that you can put text in, or maybe you want to put photos in, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to give it a, let's give it a fill. And within design, it goes with these basic colors: CMYK, black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. And then there's red, green, and blue. Okay, so it doesn't give you all of those spectacular colors that we normally see, but you can add to them and you can make up your own libraries, okay, as we go, and groups and all that kind of stuff with the colors. I'm just going to give it this a fill for now. And again, you can also give it a stroke, right? That's also in here. So fill and stroke, just like we have in something like Illustrator. Okay. So we have boxes that we can draw. Okay. And again, they're typically designed that we're going to be putting text in or photos in. Okay. We also have the rectangle. So truthfully, these two boxes are the same. Okay. The difference is they had one and then they came out with another one. And so if I draw with this, you're not going to see any difference. I'm going to give it a fill also. See the difference? No, I didn't think so. There is no difference. I have no idea why they're in there twice. It used to be we would have boxes that we could fill, and then we'd just have boxes that were solid colors. And you see the difference is this one has no X, this one has an X. They don't print any different. If I was to hit print right now, they would look identical when they print out. They would look identical if I saved them as to a PDF or I saved them as an interactive file like that magazine we saw. It really makes no difference. It just used to be the X's were kind of the boxes that we would end up putting photos in. And this is kind of a solid color that we can put text or do stuff in. A lot of it's just kind of visual, right? So if I do a text box, I'm going to hit the text tool and I want to put a box in here. I'm just going to draw out a box and I'm going to actually, give it a second. I'm going to fill it with placeholder text, which is just basically dummy text. I'll let this, hopefully this works. I might need to quit something. They put in some text. Let me quit my Photoshop because it always takes up a lot of space. And then we'll put Illustrator too. So in this case, we don't have the text going through, but if I draw a text box over here and I put in a type, I'm just going to fill with text holder. You see, you still see that X. So kind of visually kind of messes with your head as you're working. So if you don't want the X, just do it with the other box. If you do want the X, do it with that one. Again, the X is kind of symbolic from a designer standpoint of there's something that's going to go in there, meaning like a picture, typically. Okay. Other than that, there is no difference, and it would make no difference when we print this thing or save this project. Make sense on the two boxes? X or no X. That's it. I have no idea why the tool is there, but that's how they designed it. Okay. You'll notice also the ellipse tool is just kind of ellipse. So if you want to circle, hold the shift key as you draw, and it will give you a circle. Okay, that can be moved around as such. Okay. All right, so let's kind of work a little bit. We'll leave that there. We'll take this box off. So in InDesign, there are basically text boxes, okay? And you can move those here. These guides that are behind it, they do not print, okay? So they would not show up when we printed this thing out. And in fact, if you want to look at the document without the guides, you go to View, Guides, and then we go to actually Screen Mode, Preview. So Screen Mode, Preview, we'll take those off. Okay, so it's still there. We just don't see them. This is more than what's going to be printing. So Screen Mode, Normal, shows you there. There are other screen modes that you'll see. The bleed, that's an extra area outside. So if I had something that's printed out here, it doesn't show, but that's where the bleed would be. And we also have the slug, which is very similar to the bleed. Okay, so we're not dealing with those right now. We're going to go to Screen Mode Normal. You can also, over here, select those. So you don't have to go to the drop down bottom of your tool panel here. We have those normal, previews, bleed, and slug. Typically, you're jumping back and forth between normal and preview. Okay, just to kind of see what it's going to be looking like. And again, the guides are there, so you can start to lay out your boxes the way you would want to. Okay. Now, again, we're not. Everything is adaptable and changeable. So right now, I put in what we call it does is dummy text, okay, or placeholder text. That's just so I don't have to. I can kind of work my layouts and get a look for it. But I can put in real text if I want to. And we'll just grab some stuff off the internet here in a second, so we can do that. Likewise, I can move my boxes and change them. So we've got this box here. It's a one column. We have another column over here. Okay, and we can pull that text out to be the column. The problem with this magenta over here is we can see that the text is coming right to the edge of the box. And that's something we don't want to do. It's a very, zooming in here, Command plus. It's just a very awkward way. It just kind of messes with the eye as we're reading. So in that case, we would want to enlarge the box a little bit so there's a little bit of breathing room. Okay, so we never want to put text right on the edge of a text box or a box of color type of thing, because it just becomes a very awkward thing and way of reading. Also know that we have this here with this box and we have the color, but we can also drop the opacity down so we can see through it. Okay, so we can, that's fully adjustable with that. And you can also do some FX, meaning special effects, drop shadows and those kind of things. Okay, and right now it's just saying it's an object as we go. Okay, text wrap here is how the text will go within or around the box, and then also the alignment. So I'm going to just kind of show you some of those. So again, it's very much designed for text and placeholders. So I'm going to actually use real text. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to just get rid of all of that right now. I'm going to grab some text off the internet because as cool as the placeholder text is, it gives you kind of a false sense of what's going on, because text itself, you need to see where the words break and how they fall on the line. And you'll notice as I'm moving, we get these like kind of little pop-up guides that's kind of showing you where things are. So as I come down, I get that green. That means that's lining up. Okay, and I can drop that. And I just made a copy by, again, holding the Option down. So let me, I don't think I can grab that. It's not going to work. Let me get a new web page. All right, so I'm going to go to Times. No, I'm not going to subscribe right now. People are pushing to get books out of the library. What's up with that, guys. Huh? Conservative parents in Texas and around the country rally to expunge certain titles. Ooh, the book monitors. What happened to freedom? Freedom of speech. Now they want to ban the books. Oh my God. Don't do that. Books are good. If you don't like it, don't read it. All right, so let me just get some story here. All right, I'm going to grab it. It's going to have some hyperlinks in it, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to want to grab some text. Go close. I just want real text so you can see how lines work on a page. Not only subscribe, I'm just taking your text. Thank you. And I'm going to just paste that in, and you can see that came in. And the reason I do that is so we can see what we call the rag, the edge of the page as we start to go. Let me grab a little bit more down here. Let me get that weird thing in there, but that's okay. I will delete that out. Now I put more text in, and I get at this point, this little red cross in there. As I zoom in, it doesn't really help get it bigger. But we've got this cross, and what that red X, or the red plus the cross in it, red square with the cross, it's telling me visually that there's more text. That means we've cut that off. There's more text that continues on. So I can either make the box bigger, or I can make it go to another column. Okay, so to make it go to another column, I simply click my direct select tool, and then I select the little square with dotted, and you see it kind of preloaded something. It's like, I don't know what that is. That's some text. So that's the text that's going to get loaded, and I'm going to hover over my next text box and click, and now it dropped it in. Okay, so it dropped it in to this new thing. Let's grab this picture. I'm just gonna, that's the caption for that photograph I grabbed. Okay, and it just dropped it in. So now whenever I do anything over here, it will continue on to the next one. So if I put a bunch of spaces in, you'll see it's moving text down because these two are linked now. Okay, so there's a link going from this box to this box with the text. Okay, so even if I add in something or I make something larger, I'm just going to up the scale. You see it just pushed it over here. In fact, it pushed it so far now it made another box telling me, hey, I'm out of, I've got text that's going off. Okay, so I need to fix that. So I can fix it by maybe making this text smaller. Okay, which helped, made that fix. Or I could do something else, make a third text box, a third column the text is going to go to. Okay, so it's a pretty cool program in the sense it's telling you that, hey, you're kind of messing up, maybe you want to do something, but it's going to let you work and be creative with what you're doing. Okay, so over here with the character, we've got all that we normally would have. Okay, so these are all the stuff that has been going on like we had in the other programs. All right, we've got the weights, we've got the leading. Okay, and leading is the space, and you can see the leading here, that little white gap between the lines here. If I drop this down, I don't know, 18, you'll see that got crushed away, and basically the words got smashed up to each other, and in fact so close that they're actually touching. Okay, so again, probably would not be doing it that way, but it is possible that you might want some kind of compressed stuff just to kind of call it out, or maybe do some kind of text, bold text block or something like that. Okay, so typically as a rule of thumb, whatever your type size is, in this case 24 points, you're going to probably want your leading to be at 24 or almost 24. So here's 23, and you can see that's not too bad. I still got a little bit of gap. 24 is fine. Okay. 22 is getting really, really close. 21 is almost there. 20 is just about on top of each other. So again, it depends on the typeface, but you can kind of give a rough estimate that right around 24. And if I do auto, it actually puts it to 28. That's what the programming is for this particular typeface. Okay, so for this font, it's 28. It would vary depending on the font. Okay, that gap, the leading between it. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that we'll leave it at auto for now. Okay, and then we have this here, and then we have room up here maybe for a title. And I'm just going to so I did the title here, and again, I'm going to format that, and I'm going to go back to my meta, which is the type there, and I'm going to scale that up, and we'll pull that down a little bit. One that's so big. I'm going to actually retype that. So again, I'm just kind of adjusting this. And I'm thinking in my head, I want this text to go all the way across. So I'm almost there, 35. And then I can come back to my formatting, right? So I'm here, and I've got my paragraphing. And these are all the ways that we can do the paragraphing. We've got left, center, right, justified. Okay, center, justified, right, justified, and justified everything. So if I hit justified everything, it pushes it to the edge of the box, basically. So now I'm the full columns, in this case, 2-column width, with that particular item. If I wanted to do likewise in here, I'm just going to select all of that. You can see I can center, I can do a right, I can justify with left, and then this is fairly common. Center, you know, I don't know, maybe a brochure. There's center. This is fully justified. Now, again, some of the advantages of this or disadvantages, you'll see there's like these big gaps between the words. Okay, and that can be awkward. And if we have too much of that, we call that a river, where there looks like there's like this big open area coming down the text. It's not too bad on this, but there is a difference. So if I put that, and we'll say over here, you can see where it does definitely move words around, because I'm wanting or allowing the last line of that paragraph to come up short. So justified with the last line aligned. This is fully justified. You can see the big difference. Okay, so oftentimes we'll avoid full justification because of that, the gaps that are created. Whereas we get the same effect here, but we get a much smoother edge at the end of the paragraph. Okay, and there's things here as we start to go. Now we're with real text. You can see as I've gone down to the bottom, but up here I've got this kind of weird gap. I've got this extra space. So in fact, I can actually come down a line and delete that because I don't need it. And I don't need that extra gap because the sentence or the paragraph ends below here. So we've got a new paragraph. Let me give this a save. Saving format is going to be InDesign document, 2021 in this case, desktop, preview, yes, save. And now you'll see that up there as my test page that's done. So again, to look at this without the lines, come down here, just go to preview, and we can see what that's going to look like if it was actually printed out right now on an inkjet or such. Okay, questions? I know I'm moving, but you got to tell me because, again, I know the program, so.
This program, is it available on only computers or is it available on some other devices? Because I saw it set like was formatting for those types of things. So are you able to do it on them? Like, for example, can you use it on the phone?
No, no, this is basically just a computer desktop program.
I see.
So you'll want to go to your Adobe Creative Cloud, okay, and download it. Okay, actually, I need to update at some point here. Okay, so yes, you'll want to do that just like you have Photoshop and Illustrator. You're going to want to do that for the Creative Cloud.
All right, got it.
Okay. All right, other questions? Okay, so again, we're dealing a lot with type right now, but we're going to be adding photos here in a second. Okay. Again, everything is immovable and adjustable. I'm going to select both those items and move them together. Okay. And I'm going to actually scale that up. I'm going to make this box because I want to make a box that I can put a little area that I can put some photos in down here. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to just kind of do a rectangle down here. And I'm going to be importing a photo from it. So as you can see right now, there's no stroke, there's no fill. I just have the X, and I know that's where I want to put a photo. Had I drawn it with the rectangle tool and not given it applied it a color or a stroke, you can't even see it's there, right? It's just, it went away because there's nothing there to look at. Okay, it's still there, but it's just nothing there to kind of glance at. Okay, so that's why they have the X box, just so you know. Okay, so I can do this, and I'm just going to draw this, and then I know as I'm working, I need to put the picture in. Okay, so I can start to lay this out and see how things are going to be looking. Okay, to add a photo, File, Place, File, Place, Command D. Okay, and then you're going to go find your photo. Okay, and I know we have some stuff here and some class pics, JPEG, TIFF. Okay, those are all good files. You'll see it will even do some PSDs. It just gets clunky, right? It'll get very big. So I would recommend you save your PSDs as a TIFF or a JPEG. Even though it will bring them in, again, the files will get really big really fast, and you really don't need that option. So now we put the picture in, and then we get to some options down here for frame fitting. Okay, and you can do auto fit. You can select these, it'll resize. And what these are is this one will fill the frame proportionally. Okay, so it fits it in, no matter what, it'll kind of stretch things. This will fit things proportionally, so it keeps it in the same perspective, meaning it's not stretching anything. This is stretching it up and down. This one's not going to show me the preview because it's there. Okay, this, when I did that, it made the frame fit the content. So you'll see this outer box now becomes, step back a step, this outer box will shrink to fit the picture. So if that box actually had a stroke on it, and we're going to give it a black stroke or a stroke, something you can see. In this case, it will fill the frame. Okay, so it made the box shrink to match the picture. In this case, it will fit the picture to the box. Okay, so it stretches the picture to the box. So if I keep on my auto, it's going to move it as I go. Select tool. As I make this bigger, it makes the picture adjust. Okay, so it's stretching it. Okay, if I go back to here, and I put it on auto fill, you'll see as I make my box bigger, it will make the picture bigger to fit. Okay, and again, it's keeping it proportional, so it's not automatically filling, but it is adjusting. If I do it here, keeps things proportional. As I drag the picture, and the picture stays the same, but the proportion, the frame can get bigger. And if I do it this way, oops, go for that. Again, it's keeping it filled the frame, but it keeps it, in this case, it's keeping it in proportion to fill the frame. It's not tweaking it, okay? So as I make the frame bigger, okay, the picture's not distorting. It's kind of the picture's growing and the frame is growing, okay? So there's a couple options that we can do on how to put our pictures in. And you'll want these kind of options as you go. Okay, you'll want to be able to adjust the picture slightly one way or another. Again, we don't want to really distort. With something like the icebergs, you really can't tell it as being distorted dramatically. If it was somebody's face, you would see it right away. Okay, so again, these are ways that we can import our pictures and how it will fit into a frame. Because remember, most of our pictures are going to be bigger, or they're going to be different sized. Hopefully they're bigger and we're going to scale them down. Okay, because I don't know what the size of this box is. I can tell you what it is. I know I can look up here under my properties and see it's basically 5 by 3, 3.36. But I didn't make the photo that way. It just happened to be the photo fits into this box. And now I can adjust everything to kind of fit without having to go and make the picture the exact same size that I want. I can make those adjustments there. Now, we are on page 1. I told you when I made this, we made multiple pages. So here is page 2 and 3. Here's page 4 and 5. Okay, so in this case, you can do hundreds of pages just kind of going down. So as you keep going, they go to the next page. So if an article continues from page 1 and goes to page 2, I can do that, right? So I'm gonna now scale this down. If I zoom out, you can start to see the other pages. I'm gonna give it another page over here. And I'm going to enlarge my type so we can see it. And I'm going to give it here. I'm going to pick that typeface and I'm going to make it bigger. So now I know I'm coming off. I see over here, I got the red. I got that little box. It's hard to see right now, but it's there. Okay. Now, right now, my text is at 14 point. I'm going to undo that. 14 point's a little big. Typically, we would have around 12, 10 to 12 point is a normal typeface that you're going to read in a magazine or such. Let me just pick another typeface. I'm going to look for a serif that works well. Serifs are pretty common when we get to body copy, simply because of the way the typeface is. Believe it or not, the serifs, these little parts that kind of extend, they allow it to be readable. Okay, it allows us mentally to read things a little quicker. A little bit quicker than it would be a sans serif, not much, but a little bit. So right now we're at 12 point. I know I've got more. I'm going to make it 13 just to exaggerate. And I want to make this text continue. So I'm going to do my select tool, click, and I've clicked on that arrow and I bring it over here and drop. And I've got that little bit of text that's continuing on. And I'm going to actually put in something else here that's going to make it a little bigger. Let me do a little call out box. I'm going to give this a fill. Okay. And right now you'll see the text is going basically below. Okay, so the text is coming below the box. The text is not going around the box. So this is where the text wrap comes into play. So the text wrap is telling this text to do something around the box. Okay, in this case, I've got this box selected, and you can see the text is basically kind of going over it. Here it is going to go around it, and this is going to wrap around the shape, and we can jump an object, and we can put text above. So this is the most common is text wrap. And what we did was, you can see the text now will move based upon the box. Okay, and if we have the box like this, where we've got too much, the text is too close to the box in this case, this below is where we can kind of adjust it. So this is telling me how close do I want the text to be. And they're all kind of length. And right now it's 0.06, which might be too much. I'm going to do 0.04. And that's putting that box. That means the text will not go within that box. And you can see this kind of like a little blue line around the object box here. And that's showing me where it's going to stop at. So as I get this object moved up, you can see the text will move so as it won't go into that space. Okay, so you can adjust that here on there to keep your text away from other things. Okay, so it won't get too close to the box. So think of it as kind of like a cushion, right? This is our cushion here that we're building in. And you can see it's all linked, so it's doing it on all four sides, but I can adjust it so it can only do it on one side or another, depending on what we're doing. Okay, and here you see we've got that problem of we took away that space before, and now I need that back in to show between paragraphs. And at this point, I'm going to actually move up the box. So this is where the design comes into place. We have to kind of make adjustments to fit, okay, to make it look visually correct. We just have that box that's floating there, and the text continues on, in this case from page 1 over here to page 2. And it looks like I didn't copy the size, so it's 13 point Baskerville. Let me just double check this. It is 13. It just looks smaller there for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, it's 13 in Baskerville. Okay. And again, where everything is adjustable, I've got this text box here, but I can make the text box longer. I can make it shorter. Okay, or anything in between. Okay, those guides are just kind of guides. It doesn't mean that we're stuck with that. Okay. And then if I go to box too small, again, I get that little red square with the cross in it, meaning there's more type that needs to be shown. Okay. I'm going to pull that down. So again, the guides are just guides. They don't stop you from doing certain things. Okay. Now, one thing we always kind of want to do as we're starting to lay out, guys, is we want to try to watch things like this one line. Okay, they call that, that's a, we call them widows and orphans. So basically, it's a kind of a line that's just kind of hanging out there. So we always typically want to have 2 lines. Here's an example. This is a 2-line paragraph. That's preferred. Over here, we've got 1 line that's half coming over. So what I would do as a designer is I'm going to either A, push this line down, okay? And I could do that by making this text box a little smaller. And at some point, it's going to push it down. Okay, so we got there. It's not quite 2 lines yet because I'm going to, so there we go. Now we have 2 lines, but we've got kind of a bigger gap here. So I'm going to probably, it's a balancing act. Bring this back, and maybe I'll just make this box bigger. Okay, and that's pushing it down also into here. So again, it's kind of, once we start to work, we're looking at ways that we can kind of balance things out. You can see you can scale down small, so you'll be able to scroll up and down. These just become kind of shapes. The text itself will disappear as you get smaller, even though it's still always there. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to show you early here, because it gets confusing sometimes, is how the pictures show up. So as you start to bring in photographs to InDesign, there's a couple ways that it can actually look at the text. The text should always look crisp, but the photos get a little weird sometimes. So if I zoom in, that's not too bad. Then we're going to show you the view. So we went over screen performance or screen mode, normal preview, but there's a display. And depending on how you had your computer set up, it may or may not show. So if it's on, in this case, typical, it gets a little blurry. Okay, it's a little bit blurry. And if I go to high quality, it sharpens it up a little bit. I don't know if that's coming through on the program or not. It's designed that if you have big documents, it saves the computer's processors, so you can look at things quicker. So even to a point where fast, the picture's still there, but it gives me this gray box saying there's a picture there, but we don't care about it right now. Because right now I just want to look at maybe page layout or wording. So I don't want the computer to process pictures. Okay, that's taking up more space. So if I have a bigger document, I can kind of just see spacing, and I can work on my text and not be interfered with the photos. If I go to typical, it puts it in, okay, but it's not the best quality. If I go to high quality, it'll bring it in at the sharpest quality. So if you bring in a photograph and it looks blurry and you know it's a good photograph, it's probably because your display performance is off. Okay, so under view, display performance, and just put that on high quality. I usually kind of keep it on high quality because I'm not doing documents that are 50, 100 pages typically. But if I was, I can move it to typical or fast if I'm just trying to do some quick editing and don't want the thing to be worried about pictures. And you can imagine if this was 100 pages, having to keep scrolling down and the computer trying to refresh all of those pictures that may be found in that document. Questions on that? Okay, cool. Again, I don't want to get too far. I want to kind of get it as a start, and we're going to get into more complicated stuff with this as we go.
Yeah, one question I have is
Yes.
the blue box. You said that it separates the words above and below it.
Yes.
My question is, if the image were like, say, half as wide as it is, would the text then go down the other side?
Yes. See?
Ah, okay.
But I can make it not over here. Again, remember I said these are the buffers. If I turn off the link, I just want maybe that right side to be a little bit more, and I can just kind of increase that, and you can see where it's pushing it. Okay, so you can control that buffer space where it's not equal all the way around. I can actually physically control how much buffer is on each side. I mean, at some point, it's going to just push it all the way out. So you pushed it out to just that one letter kind of coming back. So yes, it's totally adjustable in that sense.
All right, thank you.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, other questions? Text color can change too. Right now this is in black. I'm going to make that fill is the color, and I'm going to give it to white. Basically the paper, for some reason paper is white all the time. Okay, even though it's not. If I wanted this page to be let's say a tan, I would literally draw a box over it. Okay, I'm going to give it a fill, and we'll start with red. I'm just going to get it to a brown color here. rich brown. And then I'm going to arrange that object. So object, this is the same as we had it in Illustrator, right? I'm going to send it to the back. Okay. And then I can drop that opacity down. So if I want this kind of a light brown paper, that's what I would do. So either I print on brown paper, which you can have your printer do, or you can buy brown paper and print it, or I can print the color out on the paper, or I can make this a picture in the background. Does that make sense? So I could have this whole thing as a background. So right now it's brown, but I can literally come in here and place, and let me see what I have in here. Anything? We don't want her. I know I have some background stuff here. Where's my? I got this. I got paper. Blue paper. I'll pick that one. So put it in. It put the paper, the old paper, in the background there to kind of give it that color. Okay. And let me just see. Oops. Yeah, puts that in, and I'm just want to see how big that paper is. It's pretty big. Okay, so when I've opened this up, you can see there's a yellow line kind of and a blue line. The yellow line is the picture itself. So the picture is pretty darn big. Okay, and right now it's just kind of fitting in there. Okay, so this is where I can come to my fills and change it. So right now it's filling it up. That's not that. Yeah, let me do another one, because that one doesn't really kind of show all that texture. It's pretty neutral. That's what we did, I think. We'll do that because that'll show up more. And we're going to go here, and I'm going to put my opacity back to 100% so you can see it. Okay. So we can adjust the picture to fit that frame. So it's filled in there. We're pretty good. Again, this is where then I can come back and play with the opacity. So it's kind of there, but not killing it. Again, that would print out that way. And I'm making it a little bit bigger so I don't potentially get, it's basically the bleed we're calling. So I don't, when they print this, they have to cut this. Okay. And if I'm that close to the edge, they could cut the paper wrong and it might get a white edge. It won't print there. So I'm going to just kind of make it a little bit bigger, the bleed, so it literally bleeds off the page. Okay. So yes, the background can be whatever you want. It could be a fill color. Okay. In this case, the fill goes away because I don't have anything there. And I'm making my picture bigger. So I want to fill that out. Okay. And now once it prints, it will print fine and I won't have a problem with them when I go to cut it. Okay. With that. But it just becomes a background element to give you paper. Okay. And I can also come over here to layers. And this will look very similar to Illustrator, where we got all these things in that layer. And you can see that here is that page. Now, understand that the layers are per page. So if I go to page 2, where we got really nothing here but some text, there's only a couple things here, right? So we only have that thing on that layer. If I go back to page 1, you see I get more layers. So the layers that you visually see are only on the page that you're working on, okay, not on the whole document, because otherwise it would get way, way too confusing when you've got 100 pages or 50 pages or even 12 pages. Okay. And again, you can lock them. So if I know I want this to never move, I'm good with that. I can lock it. So now if I'm working and I'm selecting things, I can't select that background. And it kind of gives me a little key up here that it is locked. Okay, you can see the little lock, and I can unclock it there even. Okay, I don't have to come back to the layers panel. Okay. Okay, questions? Okay, I don't want to get too fast. I get excited about this program because it's a really, really cool program. In the beginning, many times, oh, it's text, it's boring. Well, it's not. It's really kind of cool, and you can even just see here where we've done just kind of goofing off, where it just kind of makes it a little bit more visually pleasing that we can start to work with things over time. And like I said, you can kind of lay these out, and you can save these as PDFs. You can export them as kind of interactive units. So they're really, really cool. Okay. And I think once you get used to this, you're gonna be like, dude, you can do all your papers, term papers, everything like this, because it's cool.
Really quick, again about the blue box. Are we able to hide that? Like basically just so the background appears over it?
Yeah, you can take it away.
But yeah, but then like keep the text separated is the main point.
Oh yeah. So you can literally just kind of give this box a no color. So right now it's got a fill, but if I give it, it's gone,
Ah, okay.
right? So it's no strokes, no fills, it's gone. You can see that there's a frame there, but that frame is just for you visually. There's nothing there. When it prints, if I go to preview mode over here, so right now we're in normal. If we go to preview, you can see there's nothing there.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you can do that way. The other way to do it too is also I gotta click that box. Let me get the box. You can also kind of put things here so it kind of jumps around. This kind of just kind of speed jumps it. It's like puts the box at the bottom and nothing below. Okay. So it's very much like the Textwrap. You could just kind of put it in a box like that where it will jump. And if you don't want it to jump, just look, you can do that. Now the text is going over underneath it. Okay. But select the box again and give it a wrap. And we do. And this is a shape. We'll get into shapes next class because you can literally wrap around a shape, whether you draw a shape or like a circle, perfect sphere, or you can actually draw something with your pen tool and have the text go around that and so forth. So it gets really kind of cool with this. Okay, other questions, guys?
To put like the page number, do we
Mhm.
have to add another text box, or is there something that we can do so the page numbers just?
Yes, yes. Well, the answer is yes and yes. One, we could just put a page number down here in the corner and type in, 1 and do it that way. We can also, what we're gonna do is later, it's called master pages. They're over here. And we can add that text to a master page. So it automatically puts the page number in on every page. And we can also make separate masters so it doesn't do that. That makes sense. We'll get into that, which is basically setting up some presets in here. Likewise with the background, if I wanted this brown to be on every page, and literally this would be printed, not picking a brown paper that they print upon, I could do that on a master, and I could add that to whatever pages I want to over here. So yes, the answer is yes. We will get into that. I don't want to get too far into it today because a little more complicated there. But yes, it will make your life easier for that. It also does stuff crazy. I mean, we're not going to get to it, but it'll do stuff like indexing. So let's say you had a, I don't know, a 400-page history book, and they wanted certain things called out. So like every time it mentioned Abraham Lincoln, it can tell you that, and then it will be able to format that into an index at the end of the book. Okay, so you can say Abraham, and you can preset that. So it does a lot. Okay, we're not getting there with that, but it will do all of those kind of things along with having presets set up. So if I open this up come next month, I can just kind of re-update the information, and that's what we call styles. Okay, and we'll get into styles and properties and all that kind of stuff as we go. Okay, so style sheets, paragraph styles, character styles, we'll get into those. Okay, and again, you can preset things up, colors, and the goal of these things is I can just kind of put the text in, I can highlight it, and then I tell it what character style I want to be. I can go through a drop-down menu, and it will convert all the text and all the parameters that I have set up here with font size and leading and tracking, etc. Can all be preset. So when you get to your document, you're just dropping stuff in. Okay, so they're going to send you an example here with this newsletter. Somebody wrote this words up, they gave it to their designer, and he dropped it all in. And because he had a preset, it was preset to this typography with this size and this leading. Okay, and then they can just kind of highlight certain things like this call out, and again, it will preset. You can have it preset that way and say, hey, that's a caption, and that's a new paragraph style or character style, and it will change it to whatever it is, font size, color, thickness, whatever it is that you preset. Even the paragraph down here, justified, left, right, etc. Okay, so it's designed to make your life easier once you get things set up. Okay, because there's so much redundancy that we do as designers that you don't want to have to reformat the newsletter every month, every 2 months, every 3 months. It's already kind of built in. You just put in the new information, the new pictures, do some formatting, and bam, you're done. Okay, you can move on to the next project. Other questions? All right, so I'm going to pause on the InDesign. We'll get back to more of this. Does anyone have any logo stuff they want to share today? Let me get there. Let's double check everybody, make sure anybody didn't pop in.
I did make some changes. I
Okay.
just wanted to know if, like, do we still do what we did before, where we just turn them into you by email?
Yes, email's good.
All right.
If anybody wants to share, they can. But yeah, let me give you the email again. Oops. So yes, you can just put those in an email to me. Again, try to make sure your name is on the file. Okay.
All right.
PDF is preferred. Okay. Only because the type. So let me do this. Let me show you guys. One second here. No problem getting an older computer. Every time you update, it slows it down. Okay, let me just see if it works. I have to sometimes let it sit here for a second. Closed Illustrator and shouldn't have. Restart again. Hold on. I just want to show you how to save it. That's all. Other questions as we go here?
No, it seems pretty simple.
Okay. One second. Okay, so my Illustrator is not opening right now. I closed it and computer's being fickle. Save it as a PDF. Is it coming in? Wait a second, maybe it's coming. Okay, we did. All right, so let me look at this. Yeah. So something goofy I was working on. So let's say this is your finished logo and you're very happy with it and all that. You'll see the text is still live, meaning it's editable. I don't need it that way because of I may or may not have your typeface. So two things you could do. One, you can take the type, select it, and go up to type. Let me get the beach ball. And go to create outline. And this will convert the typeface into just a shape. Okay. So you see now it became just a shape. I'm gonna undo that. Or when you save, I'm doing save as, make sure you select a PDF. Okay, and then your name. And put Monday. And logo. Okay. PDF. Hit save, and I'm going to get the options here. And I just need to turn off the preserve editing. Okay, and I could do even smallest file size. That's perfectly fine, and that will turn it off automatically. Okay, so by turning off the editing, it makes the font so it will still show up without me having to have that typeface to on my computer to see it. Okay, it won't default out. Okay, so smallest file size is fine. If you just hit this, make sure you turn off the preserve editing. Okay, that's the big thing. Okay, and then you can hit just save and it will save it. Okay, and then I'll be able to open it up with no problems at all on that. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, anybody want to share? Or are you guys okay? Your choice, no pressure. We're gonna see it soon anyway. Double check the attendance.
I'm good for now.
Okay. Anybody else? You good?
I have a question for
Yes.
on Wednesday.
Yes.
I don't know how long I have a driving test there, but in case it takes too long, as long as I turn it in on that day, it should be fine, right?
Yeah, and if you tomorrow the house floods and you don't have time, obviously, just turn it in. Does that make sense? I don't take off points if it was late.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I want you guys to do the programs and learn the programs. I get life happens, and I'm not worried about that right now. So if you're like, oh God, I'm close, but I need some more time. I didn't have time. I had some whatever. Take the time, do it right, turn it in. No points are taken off.
All right. I'll make sure to get turned in. See you then.
Thanks. All right, anybody else? All right, guys. Let me know if any problems. Work on the logos. Get InDesign, download it, start playing a little bit. We'll get into more of it, and I'll give you assignments and stuff. Don't sweat that. But I just want you to kind of get it and start to work with it and move your mouse around and see how things work. Okay?
All right.
All right, guys. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see y'all on Wednesday.
See you then.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.